Salam sejahtera, good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so privileged to meet you online on a virtual professional talk named 2 Hours, 3 Days, 4 Academicians, organized by the Department of External Cooperation and International Institute Aminuddin Baki Northern Branch. Today's is the first talk of a 3-day program. Thank you very much for joining us. To all colleagues at Institute Aminuddin Baki headquarters and branches in Genting Highlands, Sabah, and Sarawak. And of course, to all my colleagues at Institute Aminuddin Baki Northern Branch, in short, IABCU. I am Dr. Gu Solan, Senior Lecturer from the Department of Continuous Professional Development, IABCU, will be your host this afternoon. To all online viewers, kindly be informed that this online talk is registered in the IAB Integrated System for Program Registration. You may record your attendance and participation by scanning the QR code on the screen. Alternatively, you may record attendance by clicking on the link given at the chat box. Ladies and gentlemen, the talk will begin with prayer reciter. For that, please welcome Dr. Muhammad Rushdan bin Haji Azizan to lead in the prayer reciter. Over to you, Doctor.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, we gather today to express gratitude upon your greatest gift towards us. In conjunction with this assembly online of virtual professional talk organized by Institute Aminuddin Baki Northern Branch, we ask for your help and guidance. Ya Allah, Ya Akram al-Akramin, kindly give us strength and courage to face all the struggles and gain a wide range of knowledge. Kindly bestow blessings, physical and spiritual health, fitness of mind, peace of mind, and strength of spirit. Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, give strength to our educational leaders and academicians to continue to serve for people, society, nation, and religion. Ya Allah, make our country a country that got the blessing, everlasting peace, and prosperity of all time. Allahumma inna na'udhu bika minal barasi wal jununi wal juzami wa min sayyi'il asqam. Rabbana 'alaika tawakkalna wa ilaika anabna wa ilaikal masir. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Rushdan bin Haji Azizan, for leading the prayer reciter. God willing, this program will run smoothly with the blessing from the Almighty. Next, it is time for us to hear from the Director of Institute Aminuddin Baki Northern Branch. Dear webinar participants, please join me to welcome Dr. Haji Johari bin Arifin.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Esteemed guests, distinguished speakers and participants, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. First and foremost, on behalf of the organizing committee and Institute Aminuddin Baki Northern Branch, I would like to thank each and every one of you for joining IABCU Virtual Professional Talk 2021. I feel great proud to say that this professional talk has been planned and organized by our working committee headed by the Department of External Cooperation and International since early this year and has come to a fruitful realization as witnessed today. The aim of such professional endeavor is to further enlighten the mature mind of our educational leaders through the sharing of intellectual discourse concerning matters of educational leadership and management. I bid a very warm welcome to our renowned speaker, Professor Dr. E. Ram Ganesh from Bharathidasan University, Tamil Nadu, India, and also participants who took out their valuable time to join us today and be a part of this professional talk. We are honored to have all of you with us today. I would also like to offer my regards to all the people and team who made this professional talk functional in such hard times. This professional talk could not have been possible without the sheer contribution of all of you. Surely, the pandemic COVID-19 impacts us in various ways. Since its outbreak in late December 2019, COVID-19 has wreaked havoc across the world, and like any critical sector, education has been hit hard. Nevertheless, it does not dampen our spirit nor our commitment to strive towards bringing greater impact to school leadership for the development of our younger generation through the sharing of intellectual discourse. It is my sincere hope that our meaningful session today will serve as a platform whereby we can learn from each other relevant knowledge and issues of common concern. Our distinguished guest speaker in today's virtual professional talk is of high caliber to talk and highlight the trends and current practices concerning educational leadership and management. I will hope that this professional talk will be a huge help for the school leaders in inducing a thought process for understanding and dealing with the problems they are facing at school. Last but not least, this is an opportune time for me to warmly welcome all of you again, both esteemed and distinguished guests and participants to our IABCU Virtual Professional Talk 2021, and I wish it will turn out to be an active and fruitful session of interesting sharing of ideas and experiences. May this professional talk be productive and worth your precious time. Thank you and best wishes.
Thank you, Dr. Haji Johari bin Arifin, for your kind words of wishes and thoughtfulness. Indeed, we look forward to gaining useful input on winning the confidence of top journals from the perspective of an international expert. Ladies and gentlemen, this international cross-country program has gathered 4 experts in the field of educational leadership and management from 3 different countries, namely India, Canada, and the USA. This afternoon, we are honored to have with us Professor Dr. E. Ram Ganesh from Bharathidasan University, India, who will speak to us on Win the Confidence of Top Journals. Prof. Ram Ganesh is already online at the moment, and let's welcome him. Prof, welcome to the virtual talk.
Thank you, Dr. Gu.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Oh,
I'm doing
that's
fine.
great. That's great to hear that. What time is it over your side? I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's 12 o'clock. It is 12 o'clock, 12:10. 12 o'clock and 10
all
minutes.
right. So, ladies and gentlemen, The time difference between Malaysia and India is 2 hours and 30 minutes. We are 2 hours 30 minutes ahead of India time due to the geographical location. Prof. Ram Ganesh, before we proceed further, on behalf of IAB, I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation to be the speaker in our first virtual professional talk. I believe your sharing will benefit many listeners who are keen to publish their academic writing in reputable refereed publication. Before I pass the
Certainly.
stage Before I pass the stage to the speaker, allow me to read to you the profile of Prof. Ram Ganesh. Dr. Ram Ganesh is the Professor of Education Technology, currently serving as the Director, Institute for Entrepreneurship and Career Development and Vocational Education at Bharat University. For 2 years, from 2018 to 2019, he served as the adjunct professor at University Pendidikan Sultan Idris in Malaysia. Now, he's also the visiting professor at Avina Shalingam Women's Central University in Coimbatore, India. He has been entrusted with a number of responsibility by the university, namely registrar, finance officer, director of college and curriculum development, director of UGC human resource development, nodal officer at constituent colleges of the university, and coordinator of projects. He is also the recipient of national and international awards. In publication, Prof. Ram Ganesh has published 86 articles in the national and international journals in the Scopus and Web of Science. He has published 15 books cutting across various domains of education. He has been serving as a reviewer, an associate editor, and an advisor in many journals of repute at national and international level. He has completed 4 major research projects and an outlay of Indian rupee 1.6 crore. He organizes more than 25 workshops, capacity building programs, conferences, seminar, symposium at national and international level. He has been meritoriously selected by the MHRD for the honor of LEAP program in 2020. He is the expert member of the University Grant Commission, National Accreditation and Assessment Council, National Council for Teacher Education, Ministry of Education, Government of India are just some of his many involvement. Apart from the above mentioned, he is also the expert member in the governing body, academic council, research committee, and board of studies in many universities and colleges in India. He has delivered more than 600 invited talks in diverse topics in higher education in India and abroad. Ladies and gentlemen, that are just a brief description about the credential of Prof. Ram Ganesh in his area of expertise. I'm so eager to hear what Prof. Ram Ganesh is about to share with us. I believe you feel the same too. Dear webinar participants, if you have any question about the topic, please write them in the chat box. The question will be entertained by Prof after the talk. Without further ado, let's welcome Prof. Ram Ganesh. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you, Dr. Gu, for good words upon me. Distinguished Director, IABCU, my friend Dr. Palachandran, colleagues from IAB, and learned participants, friends. Good afternoon to all of you. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be part of the professional talk organized by Iabcu Malaysia on the topic of the significance winning the confidence of top journals. Friends, in India, there are three important dimensions of higher education. They are teaching, research, and extension. Research plays an important role in the field of higher education. Perhaps research is imperative to address the economy of any country. That is the reason research researchers across the globe, they put their mind back to improve their global citation index so that you would be in the international map. But publishing our thoughts in top level journals is not our cup of tea. Perhaps we have got to have a great academic mileage so that we would be able to publish our thoughts and research articles in top level journals. Research has power. It has got very important power to extend our quality, what nature has endowed with us. Research would be able to address the problems encountered by society. The great scholar, the great leader, former Prime Minister of India, Dr. Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of independent India, in his discovery of India said, the quality research matters because it will address the economic growth and social transformation of this country. So therefore, quality research is matter of fact for economic growth and social transformation. Only quality research would be directly proportional to social transformation. Therefore, we have to publish our ideas which are pertinent to the social issues and national agenda. In that way, any country, for that matter, whether it is India or USA or Canada or Malaysia, society encounters quite a lot of problems. And those problems, must be scrutinized by us, the researchers, and we have to publish our thoughts in the top level journals, and that would open up possibility for us to collaborate in the midst of outbreak even. And I'm so happy that Iabcu is organizing professional talk on the topic of the significance, inviting professors from different parts of the globe. Even in the midst of outbreak, the COVID outbreak, we are able to leverage technology. Perhaps otherwise you would have been to Malaysia and perhaps we would have, delivered our talk. So thanks to technology, but for leveraging the high profile technology, we would not be able to collaborate the way we wanted to collaborate. So once again, my sincere thanks are due to IAB for extending yet another opportunity, to talk on the topic, winning the confidence of top level journals. Friends, we are always interested in improving our global citation index, especially the countries like China and United States. They are able to have their contribution to the globe in a big share. Perhaps all other countries, try their level best to contribute globally in terms of their global citation index. I think for which any country has to invest money on R&D, I mean research and development. You see the leading countries, they invest quite a lot of money in billion US dollars so that they would be able to address the global demands and they would be able to address the global issues in terms of their intelligentsia. So I am just showcasing this particular slide because you would understand the investment is very important on R&D, research and development. Look at United States, China, Japan, Germany, India, South Korea. So I have given you only a handful of the country. In that way, any country must come forward to invest their GDP, gross domestic product, or money in R&D, so that would really pave the way for researchers in the country to do quality research. Look at the scientific publications. China is able to have the global share 20.67 percentage, and United States 16.54, and next to India it is only 5.31 percentage. In that way, it shows. Therefore, every country is expected to address the global share, global citation index. So that is the reason why we have to win the confidence of top level journals in which researchers have readership, and the faculty members and students should understand that they have to publish their thoughts in the journals of readership. Therefore, global citation index is a matter of fact for which we researchers have to take cognizance of it. Look at the current state of innovation. Current state, innovation is need of the hour in any country for that matter, not only in India, for any country for that matter. Your publication in top level journals sometime, open up possibility for the country to address intellectual property rights, patents, global standardization of effort, and then interaction between academia and industry cluster, and then product and prototype. So size of the product and prototype. So this is the long-term vision of your publication. Your publication should help you to have another research mileage, so that your publication will be instrumental for IPR, patents, global standardization of effort, product or prototype, or interaction between academia and industry cluster. Friends, I always have high regards for Rutherford. I think you all know his credentials. Rutherford, a Nobel laureate in chemistry, Nobel laureate. Why I just show this slide, perhaps it would really make you cherish the contribution of Rutherford, or relish the contribution of Rutherford. Rutherford, the 11 of his scholars, PhD scholars, he made 11 of his scholars to, win the Nobel Prize. So almost all his students, became Nobel laureates. Such a great, scholar I would like to introduce to you, so that people like you will be motivated. That is the, instrumental for quality research. So Rutherford was able to make 11 of his scholars Nobel laureate, because he is a Nobel laureate. Therefore, we have to set a good example. A researcher must have passion and ideas. Passion and ideas drive quality research. So when the researcher has passion and ideas, definitely he would be able to understand the demands of the issues of the country or issues of the globe at different levels. So in that way, I'm so happy today to introduce a very outstanding and quality researcher, Rutherford, who made all his scholars Nobel Prize winners. Friends, look at the author's perspective. I think you would understand, perhaps how, you can really take the venture of publishing your thought or your research in the top level journals. You see dissemination, and then career prospects, and then improved funding, and then EGO, patent protection, and others. These play an important role for first choice for your thoughts to be accepted by top level journals. Friends, you must understand the author and reader behavior. You see, author wants to publish more, but readers want to read less. So you must understand the dichotomy, dichotomy behavior. Authors wants to publish more, but readers want to read less. Therefore, the way how you can be brief and bright so that you would be able to really make your readers to read. That's very important. Because when you publish in the top level journals, top level researchers will read your paper, you read your article, and they would be able to cite your article. That is how you would be able to improve your impact factor, improve your H index, improve your I-10 index, improve your global citation index. Therefore, you must keep this in your mind that authors want to publish more, but readers want to read less. Therefore, we have got to be brief and bright when we write research article. That's very important. And you must understand the differences between authors and readers before you start writing the research article. Authors are journal focused, readers are article focused. Therefore, you have got to publish more or read less dichotomy, and you have got to mitigate the dichotomy. That is very important in the sense authors are journal focused. If at all I wanted to publish my thought as a professor of educational technology, I wanted to publish my article in British Journal of Educational Technology or Australian Journal of Educational Technology or Indian Journal of Educational Technology. But readers are article focused because they have got their research area and whether your article would be able to address their demands. This is very important. So therefore, this must be taken into account by any researcher who wants to publish their article in top level journal. You see the reader's perspective, authoritative quality articles. They want quality articles which are pertinent to their area of interest. And the second point, ease of access is very important. Sometime, if it is open access, your researcher will find, they'll be very happy to access your article because they don't have to pay. So easy of access also must be taken into account. Rapid delivery, that is very important. How swiftly, your article will be delivered. It will be delivered by the particular journal. Convenient format, the format also must be taken into account. Linking of information, the clustering is very important. Perhaps you have got to link your idea with a different area of specialization. And low or no cost, that is also to be taken into account. These are the reader's perspective. And you see the components of writing because writing plays an important role. The contents, which are very important, the language, whichever the language you write. If you write article in English language, perhaps English is not our native language, but still we have got to learn. So therefore language matters and it plays an important role, and style of writing. So contents, language and style of writing are the important components of writing, especially if you want to win the confidence of top level journals. Friends, you see, these are the ideas which I would like to give you. In such a way, you should try to avoid, casual color, catchwords and phrases. Sometimes, phrases, sometimes will make readers, misconceive certain ideas. Therefore, you have got to read the author's instructions. That's very, very important. Before you win the confidence of the journals, if at all you want to win the confidence of the top level journals, perhaps you have got to read the author's instruction. That is, sometime if you use casual colors, catchwords and phrases, you have got to be very careful. And the expression with no clear limits. The limit is very important. So suppose when they ask you to express only 3,000 words or 5,000 words, then you have to strictly adhere to the instructions. So expression with the clear limits is very important. Words of personal judgment must be avoided. which is very, very important. Sometimes, you offer your personal judgment that would not be accepted by any of the journal of top level, high profile, journal of high profile. So personal judgment here. That means every word must be supported with research. I mean, every word, say every sentence must be given research support. Authentic. That's what I wanted to say. Every sentence must be authentic and coherent. In fact, coherent and authentic. So words that are only fillers. That's very important. So these are the things we have to keep it in our mind. Friends, key elements of publishing. You see the ethical issues. Whenever the ethics is very important. So whenever you use any image or a word or an idea or a research design, the components of research design, the ethics must be adhered. I think you have got to, you have got to be ethical. The ethical issues offered, guided by the journals must be taken cognizance. You see the structure of papers and then components of the article submission, journal selection, publisher's process, peer review. All these things are the key elements of, the key elements that must be taken care of by any researcher so that the researcher would be able to win the confidence of journals of high profile. Friends, are you ready to publish right now? You see, you are not ready. Your work has no scientific interest because the work is outdated. It has been already carried out. So you have to see the work is new and meaningful. What extent it is meaningful, which is very important. So it should not be outdated work. Incorrect conclusions, duplication of published work, then the journal of high profile will say you are not ready. The work has no scientific interest. So original results or methods must be taken care of. Significant enhancement of published work. Well, the work has already been published, but what is the enhancement? See, it doesn't mean that you should not publish the particular area which has already been published, but you have to ensure the advancement of knowledge or wisdom, which is very important. Significant advancement is very important. An up-to-date review of your subject or field, then you are ready. Your work advances the field, therefore the journal, the top level journal is ready to consider your article. That way you must be ready. What makes a strong manuscript? A clear, useful and exciting message. Exciting message in the sense, the words are very clear, the ideas are useful and the message is very exciting. Come on, I have never come across this. It is cost effective. I think if this idea is used, I think definitely it would be able to address the demands of the target group, our demands of the economy, our demands of the country, our demands of the local issues, our social issues. Therefore, it must be clear, useful, and exciting message. And the article must be presented and constructed in a logical manner, allowing readers to easily grasp the significance. Sometimes, the certain article, if I read out, it is skeptical, it is speculative. Sometimes it speculates me. I do not know what the authors wanted to say. So you must present your article in a logical manner, strictly adhering to the instructions given unto you by the particular journal, and readers, must be able to grasp the significance of your research, which is very, very important. Friends, what article type should I choose? Now you see, simply you can't just choose because it is Scopus indexed, because it is PubMed indexed, because it is in Web of Science or Web of Knowledge. See that your field of interest is one of the themes or sub-themes of the article. That's very, very important. Sometimes, if your theme is not the theme of the particular journal of high profile or top level journal, sometimes the very purpose will not be served. Therefore, very, very important. And what extent they are able to communicate as swift as possible, and the review of the papers. Okay, all these things must be taken care of. So, what I want to say is, whenever you choose the article, whether it really the journal has got the readership, in the sense whether your theme coincides with the theme of the particular article. That is very, very important for you to take it into account. How do I choose the right journal? I would look at the aim and scope, types of articles to be considered, the readership as I pointed out, subscription versus open access, the speed of publication. Sometimes certain article is high profile journal, but they would take 1 year or 2 year. That must be also taken into consideration. Peer review process, biometric system, bibliometric system, content innovation. So these things must be taken into account before you choose the right journal. The guide for authors, you see, find the journal home page of the publisher, especially Elsevier, the top level journal, and keep to the guide for authors in your manuscript. It will save your time. So it is very, very important. If at all you want to win the confidence of top level journals, read the instructions of authors and go through the guidelines, whether you are relevant to them, relevant to the particular article in terms of your writing, which is very, very important. It will save your time. Sometime, your idea is very good. Sometime it would be able to address the national issues or national agenda, but it is not the area of interest of the particular journal. Therefore, very, very important thing that you'll have to take cognitions is look at the theme and sub-themes of what extent you are relevant to the particular journal, which is very important, for which you have got to read the author's instructions, instruction to authors. Very, very important. Now, how can you structure your article? Maybe the structure, search and find, tell your story, provide context. In the sense, you see the title, the abstract, the keywords, and then introduction, methods, resultant discussion, conclusion, acknowledgements, references, supporting materials. So these things are very important for you to take care. What is effective manuscript? For example, you see the title, the first impression is the best impression. The title must be exciting. You should identify the main issue of the paper, and your title must be concise, and the title must be accurate, unambiguous, specific, complete, and the title should use professional language, and it has to avoid rarely used abbreviations and will attract readers. Short, catchy titles are often better cited. This is the keywords. The keywords are the labels of manuscript. Sometimes they offer keywords that would not be found in the body of the journal or body of the article. So keywords are used by indexing and abstracting services. Keywords must be specific. Keywords should use only established abbreviations. Look at the abstract. Now, how abstract should be written? Abstract should keep it as brief as possible. It will summarize the problem, methods, results, and conclusion. Make sure it is clearly written and easy to understand by readers. Make sure it is accurate and specific while also being catchy. Abstract should write, it should be written accurately, and that should reflect the content of the article. This is very, very important. Now, how should we write introduction? It should explain the problem. It should describe your approach, what approach you are going to use. So that must be described. And you should mention the existing solution and limitations. So these are the expected ideas that you could do it when you write introduction in your article. And methods, it should describe how the problem was studied, and its method should include detailed information to allow repetition. Do not describe previously published procedure, but cite clearly. Identify the equipment and materials used. If at all you publish your article in science especially, use proper notations including the formula if at all you use, or symbols. Don't forget to present the controls used. So these are all the things you have to keep it in your mind back whenever you introduce methods. So it must be very clear. And then results include only the data of primary importance. Whenever you write results, see, you have got to be very brief and bright, as I told you, very brief and bright. So therefore include only data of primary importance, main and unexpected findings. Use supplementary data for data of secondary importance. And you have got to use subheadings to keep results of the same type together and avoid redundancy. That is very, very important. And you have got to use figures and tables for efficiency and clarity. Provide statistical analysis, especially using your SPSS modern versions, sometime among. So whatever, if you want to use path analysis, relevant analysis, that is also very important. Sometimes, if you use, if you exaggerate by using, SPSS package for statistics, and see that the statistics must be relevant to the recommendations, relevant to the interpretation. That is very, very important. Therefore, identifying the appropriate statistics or relevant statistics is, instrumental, is very important, aspect of your researcher. Very important responsibility of your researcher. Because many times, whenever I go through some of the articles, whenever I have to adjudicate the foreign articles, they use high-profile statistics, path analysis, factor analysis, but what extent they are relevant for interpretation, which must be taken into account. Therefore, provide appropriate statistical analysis, which is very, very important. And result visualization, you see the caption and legend, should be self-explanatory to enable figure to stand alone, which is very, very important. If at all reader at different level happens to read your results, they must be able to grasp your interpretation, grasp your table, grasp your figure. In that way, the caption, especially the caption that you offer for table and the figure, must really make readers feel at ease. That is very important. Maximize visual versus space, and use color only when necessary, otherwise it is not required. And graphs, should not be crowded plots, very simple and then very explanatory, self-explanatory, which is very important. It should not have crowded plots. Therefore, I would say uncrowded plots. Restrict data sets, the symbols to distinguish. Well-selected scales, axis, where you use axis, x-axis and y-axis. Label size also is very important. So, if you use very small label size, sometimes the reader would not be able to understand what is explained in the table. So therefore, label size also must be taken. And whenever you use image and photograph, scale marker also is very important. Don't manipulate it. Don't manipulate the image and enhance the results. And that would really, make, readers skeptical. Therefore, you have to use the image to enhance the results. That is very, very important. And the discussion, that is another important point I wanted to say, that is discussion. So the interpretation of results are very important. So whenever, you discuss, you got to interpret your results with the results already obtained by the reviews that you have done it. Because so many people, I think you will really spot out a number of reviews, and those reviews, you might have, come across the results, and you must be able to relate your results with other results of the studies in terms of quantum of agreement. What extent your result are able to agree with the results of the previous studies. So quantum of agreement must be taken into account, so that would really provide clarity for the readers. Come on, what extent the results of the present study is able to have quantum of agreement with results of the previous studies. Why? So if at all disagreement, why? So why the particular result of the particular result of your article has disagreement with result of some other articles that have been reviewed by you. So now you have got to discuss why it happens. So maybe culture would have played a vital role, or maybe the resources would have played a vital role. So maybe the conduct of experiment would have played a vital role. So perhaps you can just explain. So that would really help us to design a model. So in that way, for writing discussion, the interpretation plays an important role. So discussion is most important section, because unless you compare your result with the results of earlier researchers, sometimes the authenticity, the validity of your results. So what extent it could be, result could be used, okay, by the target population. Our results could be used for developing a prototype, or developing a model, or developing an instructional design, or leadership design. So therefore, discussion plays an important role, and you must really take care of it. And make the discussion correspond to the results and complement them. Sometimes, you have got to complement. You see the earlier results, they have experimented, okay, taking care of the threats to internal and external validity. Therefore, they were able to, provide clarity to the results. Perhaps you can complement the results of earlier studies review, or results of your own study. You can just complement. Compare the published result with your own. That's what I told you. So there are certain things which have to be avoided when you discuss your results. Number one, the statements that go beyond what results can support. So this is very important. And non-specific expressions. And then new terms not already defined are mentioned in your paper. Perhaps you have defined a particular term, but when you can define, but you have got to rationalize. If you could not substantiate why you have to go for new definition, a new term, sometime it will really confuse the learners, confuse the readers. So that must be avoided. You can use it, but you have got to substantiate. You can use new terms, but see that you have substantiated. And then speculations on possible interpretation that are not rooted in facts. So these things are very important for us to take it into account to avoid. And conclusion, how can you write conclusion now? Explain how your work advances the present state of knowledge. So that is very important. How your work advances the present state of knowledge. So conclusion, many times, the conclusion is written for sake of writing the conclusion, because you have given introduction, so you wanted to give conclusion. That is not the matter. So explain how your work advances the present state of knowledge. As I told you, that is why an Australian researcher back say he used to define research is critical, self-critical inquiry which aims at the advancement of knowledge and wisdom. Therefore, there must be advancement of knowledge. Otherwise, you cannot win the confidence of journals of high profile or top journals. So, top level journals, these are the expectations from you. Explain how your work advances the present state of knowledge. And do not repeat the results or the abstract once again in the conclusion. See, every word is very important. There should not be any duplication or repetition. Therefore, don't repeat the results or the abstract. That is very important. Discuss the uses, extension or applications. Why? Because sometimes, discuss uses, how it is going to be used and what kind of extension. Perhaps extension, in terms of recommendations, you can provide recommendations for policy decision and how your idea could be applied in the relevant scenario, appropriate scenario, in the familiar and unfamiliar scenario, how your idea could be applied in the familiar and unfamiliar scenario, how your idea could be taken to the land. That is very important. The philosophy is lab to land. What extent your research outcomes are applied, are used, that would envision extension. So therefore, extension is very important. Suggest future experiment. A good article, research article, will always suggest, for future experiment or future researchers. You can suggest for future researcher. So these are the ideas. Perhaps the particular research is not able to attempt. Perhaps the future research could attempt, so that the outcomes will be little more productive. The outcomes will be able to be more productive, and that would really address the national and international issues agenda. That's very important. And you must be clear to help reviewers and editor judge your work and its impact. So your language, your content, your writing style, all these three components should help the reviewers, adjudicators, and editor to judge your work and its impact. So it must be language free, grammar mistakes free, grammar mistakes free, and unless you read suppose you see, when you select a journal and read out the articles which have already been published, what kind that would really throw lights and insights for you to understand how the content must be presented, how the language must be written, how the the results must be presented. So in that way, you have to read number of articles which have been published by the particular journal which has been selected by you. This is very important. That would give you a lot of idea. And you see, very important acknowledgement. So you have to acknowledge. Suppose you imagine you have taken up your image or your photograph, acknowledge where you have done the source file. Perhaps you must provide the source file in the references, but you can acknowledge the particular organization or particular researcher or particular journal. You can acknowledge. And then the financial supports. For example, if you got the financial support from the funding agencies or your state government or your national government ministry, perhaps you can just acknowledge the financial supporters and funders. Proofreader. Suppose if you have given your article to process of English for language correction, perhaps you have to acknowledge them. And suppliers who may have donated materials, perhaps you can acknowledge, nothing wrong in it. And references, you see, very, very important. References. Suppose if you publish your article in the Journal of Literature or Language, suppose you write you write article on English language teaching or Malay language teaching, then naturally you are expected to write, you have references in MLA, Member of Linguistic Association. Suppose you publish your article in education or humanities, you are expected to follow APA, that is American Psychological Association. Likewise, so many bibliometric styles are there, but you have to read out the expectations of the journals or instructions to the authors, and you have to strictly adhere to it. Therefore, you have to include only the reference which you have cited, in the article, and you should not give away the references which do not have which you have not placed in your article. You have not mentioned, but where do you want to refer? So that is not required. So readers, adjudicators will get irritated. Therefore, you have got to include references that have been cited in the article. This is very, very important that have been cited in the article. Always ensure you have fully absorbed the material you are referencing. It is very important. Avoid excessive self-citations. Sometimes you published your article and you wanted to self-cite. Nothing wrong in it, but try to avoid it because that has already been published, cited by so many people. Why do you want to cite your own publications in the article? Because it has already been cited by you, by somebody. Therefore, avoid self-citations to publication from the same region or institute sometime. Conform to any requirements outlined in the guide for authors. As I told you, you consider the reference manager such as APA, American Psychological Association, member of Linguistic Association, or Mendeley. So these are the important references which bring us to limelight. Therefore, I'm just most of the top level journals call upon you to refer APA or MLA or Mendeley. Now you see, I'm going to give you the process of writing, building the article, the process of writing, how you can provide a figure and tables, and then the methods, whatever the method or methodological pluralism that you have adopted must be presented well, and then the results, and then the discussion, which plays an important role, and then conclusion, and then introduction. You see, this is the way. Introduction, methods, results, discussion, presenting your figure and tables, your data, and then conclusion, building the article this way. And then title, abstract, and keywords. You see, entire article is over, and then you write the abstract. Many times what happens, they simply write the abstract, and then they start doing, writing the article. That is a wrong procedure. So perhaps abstract will come later. Even title come later. Why? Because sometimes you have to groom the title, you have to modify the title, because based on the writing. Because you are publishing, there is a beautiful philosophy, Western philosophy, with regard to publication. Publish or perish. Publish or perish. If at all need arises, you publish. Because you publish for the purpose to be served. Because your society encounters quite a lot of problems. You encounter a problem in teaching, in learning process, in administration, in leadership styles. Therefore, the purpose must be served. Therefore, you publish. Publish or perish. Therefore, the passion of writing, ideas drive your research fellowship. That's very important. So in that way, now the abstract and title will be taken care of. Sometimes you may have to change the title, you may have to prune the title. So in that way, abstract and keywords will be written later. You see, revise before submission. That's very, very important. See, many times I would say at least 5 to 10 times you have got to revise before you submit your article. Revise in terms of your content, presentation, revise in terms of your language, revise in terms of your style, revise in terms of your theme, in regard to the themes and sub-themes of the journals that you have chosen. So revise many times. Otherwise, you would not be able to win the confidence of the top level journals. So revise, draft 1, draft 2, final draft approved, and then you start submitting your article in the particular forum of the journal. That's very, very portals of the journal. That's very, very important. Now you see the peer review, how peer review is done. So peer review helps to determine the quality, validity, significance, and originality of research. That is how peer review will be done. Sometime when you send your article across to a particular journal, see, the editor will send your article to 3 different researchers, top level researcher in 3 different countries. So you have to win the confidence of the peer reviewer, first of all. How do you win the confidence of peer reviewer? In terms of quality, the validity of your research, the significance of your research outcomes, originality of research. That's very important. Sometimes peer review helps to improve the quality of papers, because after peer review, minor correction, minor revision. So we will offer feedback to you, and that would really give you a lot of ideas. Come on, I should have done it. So that would it will help you to improve your quality of papers. Publishers are outside the academic process and are not prone to prejudice or favor. So any peer reviewer will not do any favor. They will always try to do justice, because your paper is going to be published in the Journal of Readership. So in that way, we do justice. We never do favor or prejudice. We will do only justice to your research writing. And publishers facilitate the review process by investing in online review system and providing tools to help editors and review. Normally, now most of the journals are online journals, because online journals only people will be able to cite. Top level researchers will be able to cite your articles. Therefore, you always, almost 99% of the journals are online journals. Okay, in that way, these are the things, peer review will help you. So you must understand the expectations of peer reviewers also. You see how it works. When you look at the image, I think you would be, don't be discouraged or don't be threatened. Look at this. You see the article writer, the researcher is having his research article in his hand, and he has to surpass so many people. You see, so many people, those who have a lot of weapons, they have got sword, they have got different kind of axe, so many weapons they have. That means you have to surpass them. You have to win the confidence of them. In the sense, they want to be very careful. The peer reviewers are very careful, because they don't want to support, the article which is not qualitative, which does not, have, sometime, contribution to the society. Therefore, they are very careful. So you should don't be threatened about it. Don't be threatened of them. So now you see, you have to have it in your mind. These are the people who are ready to criticize your article, scrutinize your article in different perspectives, in terms of your research design, in terms of your language, in terms of your content, in terms of your style, all these things. So therefore, you must invite criticism, and you must invite criticism from the peer review. After all, their criticism are going to help you improve journal writing. That's very important. So then only your paper at last will be accepted. If your paper is accepted, if it is published, people across, researchers of high profile across the globe will cite your article. When they cite your article, your H index will be improved, your I10 index will be improved, your institution index will be improved, IAB index will be improved, and your country index will be improved. Malaysian index will be, research index will be improved. In that way, you would be able to address the economy of your country, and you would be able to address the demands of your country, not only your country, even global demands. So these are the things you have to really keep it in your mind. And what actually happens, this is what I have already explained to you. So you submit a paper, and then it goes to the peer reviewer, and then they look at different perspectives of your journal in terms of the usage, in terms of meaningfulness, in terms of how the particular outcomes of your research would be useful to the society. That is very, very important. And sometimes they will accept it, or sometimes they accept it with a minimum revision, or accept or reject. So this is what it happens actually. And what are reviewers looking for? Importance of hypothesis is very important, and originality, clear progression through the paper, well presented, novelty, technical quality. So this is how, then only your paper will be accepted. So if there is no novelty, there is no technical quality, your paper will be rejected. So therefore, you see one axis, y-axis novelty, and x-axis technical quality. These two must be taken into account. Besides, importance of hypothesis, originality, clear progression through the paper, and it must be well presented too. And impact, very important, plagiarism. So the plagiarism software, normally in India we use Urkund. In Western countries they use Authenticate. So Authenticate is top level, plagiarism software, and that will spell out the percentage of the plagiarism. So if it is less than 10%, your paper will be accepted. The moment if it is more than 10%, your article will be thrown away. So in that way, plagiarism must be taken into consideration. So free from, and you see plagiarism in practice, words, ideas, even diagrams will be plagiarized. So the plagiarism will be done away. Even diagrams, figure, tables, computer program, finding, writings, information, lectures, presentation, printed material, electronic material, any of the following can be plagiarized. So therefore you must be very careful that you come out with original writing, original ideas, original diagrams, original figures, and that must be well appreciated by the top level journals too. So you must be well appreciated. That is how you must be able to win the confidence of top level journals. Copying word for word, paraphrasing, text recycling, self-plagiarism, these must be avoided. So you must be very careful. So these are the things I wanted to share with you today. And you see the last slide. We are all here, sir. Fertilizer supplier, pest controller, seed supplier, soil tester. But I wonder who that man is standing over there. So what does it show? These scientists, they do research in the laboratory only to help out the farmer. But unfortunately, they don't know who is farmer. So your research should not be. You must understand the real issues at local level, national level, global level. Then if you do away research in the laboratory or do away research in the field, your research outcomes will be much useful to the people of needy people, or people in the society, or people who encounter the problem. So in that way, your research must provide product to them. So this is the expectation of journals of high profile, so that if you take care of, if you take cognizance of all these things, I'm sure you would be able to win the confidence of top level journals. Once again, I thank the organizers, IABCU, for having extended a very good opportunity for me to talk on the topic of the significance, how to publish your thoughts in the top level journals, how to win the confidence of top level journals. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Prof, for your insightful sharing on how to win the confidence of top journals. Of course, whenever a person submits an article, he wants the article to be accepted without much hassle. Yeah. Nevertheless, based on what Prof shared just now, we know that writing a good piece of article indeed require hard work and determination. It is not a cup of tea for everyone. Okay, we really learned a lot from you, Prof, as well as enjoy your content, your sharing content. Okay, Prof, it looks like there are some questions from the audience. Let me read to you the first question.
Yeah.
This is how it goes. They say, I am a PhD student looking for a journal to publish my research finding as part of the requirement imposed by the university. How do I know if a journal is fake or authentic?
Yeah, very good.
That's the first question. So we'll go question by question. Is that okay, Prof?
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Yes, certainly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm so happy about it. I think publishing articles is part and parcel of your PhD work. Otherwise, sometimes you would not be able to submit your PhD thesis. This is the criteria of university across the globe. I'm so happy. You see, what you have to do is, you top level journals, if at all you wanted to find out, I'll give you some, uh, for your tools like Doge, Directory of Open Access to Journals. Directory of Open Access to Journals. And you visit Web of Science, Scopus. You visit the portals of Scopus and Web of Science. Definitely, the articles or journals indexed by Scopus and Web of Science are more reliable and valuable. You don't have to get threatened about it. You don't have to worry about it. So therefore, visit Scopus portal, Web of Science, and Doge, Directory of Open Access to Journals. So the abbreviation is Doge, Directory of Open Access to Journals. Definitely, and you read out, you see, go through the impact factor and H index of the particular journal. So if you understand the H index of particular journal or I-10 index, H index of I-10, you would understand, the, what do you call, the visibility of the journal. So how the profile of the journal, that's what I wanted to say. The profile of the journals can be understood looking at its H indexes. And moreover, see that whether it is Scopus indexed or whether it is in the Web of Science or Web of Knowledge. This is very important. Any journal of your interest, journal of your research interest that you have chosen, see that whether it is in the Scopus portal and Web of Science portal. That's very important. Hope
Right.
I have answered the question.
Okay, thank you, Prof. There's another question. Says here, based on your sharing just now, there are 3 types of articles. How to distinguish the format of these articles?
Yeah. Now you see there are different types of articles you have. One is thematic article and empirical articles. So thematic articles sometimes will not have statistics. Suppose when you do research in anthropology or history, sometimes you may have to use secondary resources. Therefore, you would write only thematic article and identify the journals which are of interest of publishing thematic articles. That's very important. Therefore, identify the journals which could publish a journal of relevance to anthropology, but you want to publish articles in anthropology, or if you want to publish your article in philosophy, philosophy or history, identify the journals which could accept thematic articles. That's very important. Some of the journals which are Scopus indexed, which are Web of Science indexed, or PubMed indexed, or Mendeley indexed, they would not, sometimes publish thematic articles. They would always publish articles which are empirical in nature. So empirical type of articles, you collect the data, you analyze the data, you interpret the data, and then you write the articles and try to publish. So these are the 2 major type of articles, thematic and empirical type of articles. And accordingly, the researcher is expected to select the appropriate journals, which are Scopus Index and Web of Science or Mendeley or PubMed. That's very important.
Okay, thank you. There are a few more questions, Prof. Let me remind the online viewer, if you have any more questions, please write them in the chat box. Yeah, I believe Prof. Ram Ganesh will be very pleased to answer your question. Now, let me ask the 3rd question. It says here, I disagree with the reviewer critic to my article. Can I request for a second reviewer to look at my article? And how do I go about doing it?
Yeah, certainly. So now what you can do is, suppose you disagree the article which has already been published. Okay. Perhaps you see, whenever you submit the articles in the journal portal that you have chosen, they offer you the adjudication remarks of the people. Am I correct or not? Suppose it is disagreed, it is your article is rejected. They would substantiate, they would come out with their justifications. And if you take care of the justification, if you incorporate the points or justification given or suggestions given by the adjudicators, perhaps you can send it across to some other journal. Nothing wrong in it. Even if your journal is disagreed, but what I would like to suggest you, you incorporate the suggestions offered by they cannot simply reject your paper, disagree your paper. They will offer their remarks, and you have to go through the remarks and incorporate, rectify, sometimes the remarks offered by the adjudicators, incorporate those points, and then perhaps you can send it across to some other journal, even the same journal sometimes. It is possible. So you don't have to worry because my article is disagreed by one particular journal. You should not be discouraged at all. Don't worry. Don't be discouraged at any cost. Even some of my articles were rejected. But that gave me a lot of insights. If at all my article is rejected, I am the happiest person because they make me unlearn a lot of things. Learning to unlearn is very important. When I offer remarks, it will really make you unlearn. So unlearning is a powerful learning. So incorporate the points which I have given you. Then you try to publish it in some other journal which is of the interest of your theme. That is very important.
All right, thank you. There's another question here. It says, I would like to have further clarification on up-to-date review of a subject or field. Is there any specific rule about the limit of time before an article is considered old or outdated?
Yeah. So there is no hard and fast rule. Only thing is you must rise up to the expectations. So therefore what you have to do is whenever you review, the review must provide validity of your research design. That's very important. If your review provides validity of your research design, that means you have exhausted the review. You cannot afford to review articles published across the globe. Sometimes it is not possible by every researcher. But you have to feel that you have substantiated in terms of the reviews that you have already done it, okay, to establish the validity of your research design. That's very important. For establishing your research design, I think these reviews would do. So I have reviewed for about 10 articles, for example. The 10 articles would do because they are more helpful for me to establish validity of my research design. Therefore, that would do. So it doesn't mean that you have to review the entire research articles published across the globe. That will consume your time. And identify the reviews that would support you in the sense to design your research. That's very important.
So I think
so there are no hard and fast rules. I think it's an important question asked. There are no hard and fast rules. So it is left to the discretion of the researcher.
Yes, that's true. No hard and fast rule. The key point is based on research design as well as it must be exhaustive according to that design. All right.
It must be exhaustive as long as you establish validity to your research design.
All right, thank you. Next, you say, I was made to understand that journal publication is a lucrative business. Article publication is a business, not a scholastic endeavor. What is your view on this, Prof?
Yeah. Sometimes, I have 50% agreement with you, but 50% I don't agree with you because you see, that is why I pronounced a philosophy, publish or perish. First of all, the researcher must be accountable. The researcher must be committed. So I am writing article just to provide solution to the problems encountered by the society. If I feel, now I would identify the journal which is not commercial. There are plenty of journals, especially I would say 90% of the journals which are indexed by Scopus and Web of Science will not be commercial. Certainly will not be. If at all any art journal is commercial, they will not have a place in Scopus portal or portal of Web of Science or Web of Knowledge. Therefore, you can identify number of journals, they would only collect processing money. Suppose processing fee they will collect. And there are some journals, journal of high profile will not collect money. For example, I can just tell you, British Journal of Education Technology, American Psychologist, International Journal of Research Technology Education. So these are the Australian Journal of Educational Technology. They will never collect single pie from you. They are not commercial. They never compromise the quality of writing that you provide to them. Therefore, plenty of journals are there in the portals of education where you don't have to pay money at all. Especially Sage. See, I have published in Sage, Springer. I have never paid money. There is a journal, Sage Open. Information development. I have published in Sage Open. Information development. And you see Taylor and Francis and then Elsevier, Science Reviewer. See, there are good number of journals which not even collect process fee. Identify the journal. Therefore, in this perspective, I disagree with your view. You should not be discouraged. Publication is not commercial, and researcher must be committed. That's very important. Researchers must be accountable.
Okay, thank you. There's another question. It says here, I saw some article use the word references while others use biography. What is the difference between these two words? Are they two words with the same meaning?
Yeah, can you please repeat, Madam Dr. Gu? Can you please repeat the question?
It said, I saw some articles use references.
Yeah.
While others biography.
Yeah, bibliography.
Biography.
Bibliography.
Biography.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. What is the
I
difference
understand.
between?
Yeah, I understand. So there is a minute difference between references and bibliography. So references means, as I told you, that is why I was very careful when during my presentation, I used the word reference but not bibliography. So why reference? Because you refer the sites or journals or the books which have been cited in the journal. That is very important. But in the bibliography, there are some other sources would have helped you, but they may not be cited. Hope you understand, they may not be cited. So normally, in your PhD thesis or dissertations, you use the word bibliography. For journals, you use the word reference. So journals use references, and for PhD thesis or dissertation or project work, you use bibliography. So bibliography, which includes everything that you have referred. But in the journal writing, you will pinpoint only the references that you have already cited. Perhaps, for example, my work would have helped, my talk would have helped you, but you have not cited. Therefore, my talk, you listen to my talk, it would have helped you to some extent. Perhaps it could be incorporated in the bibliography, but not in the reference, because you have not cited my talk. So that is the minute difference between reference and bibliography. Otherwise, they are same. So reference is differentiated from bibliography in this regard.
All right, thank you. I think it's very clear. There is another one here. It says, I come across free to publish journal when surfing the internet. Is there really such a thing as free journal?
Yeah. So free journals, you see, first you try to identify the profile of the journals. You visit their website And you, while visiting websites, you look at the editor, you look at the associate editors, their profile, the profile of the editor, the profile of the associate editors, and whether it is indexed in at least a cross reference, DOI, or Scopus, or Web of Science, or Publons, or Web of Knowledge, or Mendeley. All these things very important. So free journal means you should not, try to publish it. So you have to analyze the profile of the journal. That is very important. Please do analyze the profile of the journal before you submit your article in the journal.
Prof, I think that's about all the questions from the audience. I do not have any more here. So thank you again, Prof, for taking your time to answer all the questions. Now,
Thank
on
you.
behalf of the Director of IAB, Datuk Dr. Tajuddin bin Muhammad Yunus, and the Director of IAB Northern Branch, Dr. Haji Johari bin Arifin, we would like to thank you for being part of our virtual professional talk.
Thank you.
Okay.
And my sincere thanks. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Bala, who has been
Right.
in touch with me, and the
Okay.
director. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr.
Right.
Gu, for moderating with me in the article. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Talk 1 of the 3-day series has come to an end. Please join us again tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. The topic for tomorrow will be instructional and leadership coaching, delivered by two renowned speakers, Dr. Ann Klitcher and Miss Jessica Holloway. They are both from the Canada and the USA. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Till then, bye and have a great evening.